you can as well travel to that country and do your work with them there. So you can travel, you know, you can go anywhere you want to go. If you are working remotely, you can carry your laptop and travel to any part of the world. So long as you have an internet connection and you have your power supply, you're good to go. Yes, all you need to do is to connect and you know do what you need to do. So high salary estimate United States high salary under high salary it is estimated that in the United States software developer earns an average of 110,000 naira, $140 per year. This is according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So it's quite on the high side. It's quite a handsome pay, and mostly majorly because there are very few people in the field. There is not enough software developers out there. So when the demand is very high, sorry, when the supply is very low, the demand will be very high. So that's one of the reasons why it has a high salary. Problem solving. As a software developer, we solve problems, right? Somebody could tell you, so you might have a project. You could have a project that you're building, and the person says, I would like to be able to upload my photo in my web application, in my website. So that is a problem. The person would need to upload their photo and see their profile photo as something that and see what they uploaded as their profile photo. So it's up to us to think about how to implement that, the best approach to use, how to store these photos or these images. Should we save it in a database or should we save it in a file folder? Now this both have their pros and cons, so we choose out the best possible scenario and implement that. So it's problem solving and ability to use your brain to excuse me, to a high capacity. So the last option here is ability to use your brain to a high capacity. Before I got into software development career, I was a salesperson. I sold for Dulux Paint here in Lagos, and I was given a branded Toyota vehicle that has Dulux written on the body. So I usually would go into an estate, any of the estates, maybe Pinnock Beach, any of the estates here in Victoria Island or in Aja Lekki, and I'll drive in. I'll go to prospects, like look for clients, look for customers. I'll go to find good buildings that can afford to use good Dulux, and I would pitch to them. I'll pitch to the engineers. I'll pitch to the owners of the building owners if I meet them there. So that used to be my job role, but I didn't feel satisfied. As much as I had a car, the pay was quite handsome, and I didn't feel accomplished. I didn't feel like I was using my capabilities to if I didn't feel like I was using my abilities very well in terms of thinking and problem solving. So I was still, if I come back from work, I would still write software, still take courses online and on LinkedIn Learning, acquire those certificates, and that was how I kept learning until I was able to break into the industry and became a software developer. And all the while, I've been very grateful. So when you become a software developer, you will have the ability to you have the opportunity to use your brain to a high capacity. Sometimes I just to implement something. By the time I finish thinking, I'll get exhausted and hungry and tired. Sometimes I even feel headache. I usually feel headache more if I play chess. So if I play intense chess, maybe a blitz of 2 minutes or 1 minute, and I play online. So you could be playing with a GM, a grandmaster somewhere. So that's just by the way. So benefits of being a software developer. These are some of the benefits, or these are the benefits I could share for now. but there are tons and tons of benefits, and as well uh, challenges as well. So next slide says software development career path. So a defined software development career path. First of all, you be an intern. Be an intern. By intern, maybe for internship, people usually go to boot camps to acquire um, to learn how to write software, to learn the basics. The challenge with boot camps is that they are quite very expensive, like very expensive. So if you cannot afford to pay for a boot camp, then it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a software developer. That's why we are here. That's why I am here. I really would. I'm trying to. I'm looking for ways to give back to the community. So I am here to serve as a go-to in case anybody needs, some form of direction. I can, bring in my wealth of years of experience to help direct any of you to the right path. So first of all, most times people become interns before they transition to junior software engineers. Then from junior software engineers they transition to mid-level software engineers. So this is supposed to be 3 4. This is supposed to be mid-level software engineers. Then up to the senior level, 5 6 7 8 9. 7 8. So this is more like how a typical software developer's career trajectory could look like. So you start as an intern before you become a junior software engineer, and for you to become a junior software engineer, you should be able to prove to the employer that you understand the concepts, you understand the frameworks that you learned or that you are interested in learning. You understand how to put bits and pieces together. You understand how to understand what is a source code, or what a class or a function is doing or is meant to do. So with that, you can transition to a mid-level software engineer, as well as senior software engineer, tech lead, team lead, technical architect, and chief technology officer, and maybe finally become your own CEO. Maybe you could have your own establishment, your own, software agency where you receive projects from clients and you have a number of developers or a team of, technologists who would work on those projects while you oversee their activities and their day to day, everything about the company. So this is a typical career path for software development or for software developers. So the next slide here says how to get started in software development. So you can get started in software development by attending coding bootcamps. The but in this option is that coding bootcamps are quite very not payment friendly. They are quite on the high side in terms of price. They are not cheap. And sometimes you would find out that some companies would even go as far as telling you that, okay, come to our bootcamp, we're going to train you, then we will help you land a good job, and a fraction of your salary for a period of time will be ours. So we will we own a fraction of your salary for maybe 6 months or a year or 2 years, depending on the agreement. Now, if you still look at that kind of arrangement, if you calculate the amount of money that you would have paid to the bootcamp, to the company that's holding the bootcamp, it would still not be, you know, that cheap. It would be something that would have been on the high side. So, but if you find such kind of an arrangement and you want to be a software developer, by all means take it, because this company is like where a company invests in you for you to pay back later. No, we are all in business to make at least the profit, right? Help you and at least get rewarded for it. So there was a time I signed up for one, but and it's an American company. That was quite a few years ago. It was an American company, but because I'm in Nigeria, the agreement couldn't hold. So it was basically for Americans working in America that have American work permit. That was one of the challenges. So attending coding boot camps. By attending a coding boot camp, you can transition or start your software development journey. Getting a mentor is one other good thing. The challenge with this is, for example, for someone to be a mentor, the person should have have enough experience, right? The person should have been someone in the industry for quite a while and understands how to be a mentor. Not everyone knows how to mentor, no matter how far you're being in the industry or being a software developer. So, but the challenge with mentors is they are usually very busy either with their official tasks or many people that are mentors own their own startups, so they could still be busy doing so many other things other than listening to one young or one newbie coming into the industry that wants to learn one or two things and need some advice. They are usually not very available and they are very few to start with compared to the number of people starting out in the career. So, but in this video, I have been opportune to mentor quite a number of people, uh, right from my days when I was mentoring in Andela and Google Andela, this Guards 2020. I was a mentor twice. Excuse me. So no matter what your issues are, you can always reach out to me. Use the comment section. You can send me a mail. You can whatever you want to find out, whatever information you want, whatever recommendation you want, whatever question you want, even if you don't have a question, but you want to talk to me and you want to know how to get started, just call me or just send me a mail. I should make these items available in the description. I wouldn't put my phone number there because that would be making it public. I don't want disturbance, so much disturbance. But you can just use this comment section, and I would really get back to you because it's very important that other people see your comments. Because if more than one person have the same question and the first person asks the question in the comment section and I get to respond, the other people who have that same question coming to the platform, coming to YouTube, checking out the comment section would have had their question answered. So we make use of the comment section. Another way you can get started in software development is getting a job as a developer, of course as a junior developer. So once you're able to excuse me, land your first job, a job where you write code for a living, then you have started your career. You are a developer. So long as you write code for a living, so long as somebody pays you to write source code. So getting your first job as a developer, then self-teaching. Self-teaching, here we talk about people who, by self-teaching we mean people who did not maybe have a mentor, who didn't go for coding bootcamps, and who are not even being paid to write source code. So basically, these are people. I was a self-taught. I'm a self-taught software developer, even though I have a degree in computer engineering and I'm pursuing a degree, an MSc in computer science. So, but I think in my dialect, in the Igbo dialect, they say the best advice is the advice that one gives to him or herself. So, same thing applies here. No matter how much a teacher or a lecturer teaches you, right? if you teach yourself, if you learn by yourself, if you talk to yourself, if you speak to your mind and tell yourself that this is what you want to achieve and you go for it, it is like an unstoppable proposition. So self-teaching, you can teach yourself how to become a software developer. I know a couple of people who started learning on YouTube. I had earlier told us the story of somebody I know that never paid a dime to learn software, and he's good at it today. That is a typical example of self-teaching. So you learn online, at least you learn the basics, then you come back and practice it. Then getting a computer science degree. The reason why this I put this at the last bit of the list, at the last part of the last um, point in the list, is because it's really not necessary. So long as you can write the code and you understand it. If you have a computer science degree or not, it doesn't matter. So long as you can do the job. So a computer science degree can only give you an edge against maybe when there is a need to choose between two people who have proven themselves, and one person have a computer science degree and the other person does not. So the employer might likely pick the person that has a computer science degree. So because they believe that for you to have gone for a 4-year course in the university in this field, then you should be a more authority to in this regard. So but it doesn't matter so long as you can do the job. So next on our slide here is some mistakes to avoid. Number one is tutorial hell. A lot of people, a lot of learners end up, cycling from one tutorial material to another. So that is what we call tutorial hell. It seems to look like you understand the concept, but you feel like you don't understand it, and you feel like, let me look for more materials to understand more. So in order to avoid tutorial hell, any concept you're trying to grasp, as soon as you've grasped it, right, go ahead and build a project using it. Let's say you start Python, for example. You learn the basics of Python. Go ahead and pick a Python framework, maybe something like Django. With Django, you can build a web application very, very easily. Start learning using the framework, and not just learning by learning but like watching YouTube videos or watching videos and reading up articles. Start building as you're learning, as you're seeing the instructor typing out the codes. Follow along, type as well. Scientists in Scientists have made us understand that there is a connection when you do things with your brain. There's a connection between your hand and your brain especially when you are trying to learn something. So they always say that when you learn something, you try it out yourself, so as to make it stick. So with that, we can avoid tutorial hell. I can't remember the last time I opened a tutorial, except maybe it's a concept I want to learn from like a new concept I want to learn that I've never learned before. So use this the tutorial videos to practicalize. Do not just consume them. Maybe you lie down on your bed and you open your laptop, or you open your phone and you watch without having to type on your keyboard. Download Visual Studio Code. Download Visual Studio. Download uh yes, from what's the name again? From JetBrains. Download any of those IDs. Make use of them. Code along your instructor. Then imposter syndrome. This is something that usually affects people. Uh, they they feel like they are inadequate. They feel like they are not who they really are. So do not allow this to affect you. The truth here is, even the guys that wrote the documentation in Microsoft, right? They visit those documentations once in a while. So do not try to have something like cram documentation or cram implementation or cram things, that because technology change, right? Do not think that if maybe you check up for a solution online, on Stack Overflow and you copy it, or you use that idea to write your own source code, then you are copying or you are making you are no, do not think that, because the reason why software developers have a good community is because you could be writing code for hours, right? And your brain will just get saturated. You'll be seeing, just like when they used to say in the example, somebody will tap you and say, please spell is for me. It's not that they don't like they are dumb, but as at that moment their mind is off. So that's one of the reasons why sometimes we usually advise that if you are coding, if you are learning how to code, or if you are, sorry, not learning how to code, if you are working, if you are coding, or whatever you are doing, always try to have times for recess. When you would go, leave everything you've done or you are doing, go take, if maybe go to a quiet area or just do something else different for a while, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, then come back. At least you let your brain, you give your brain some time to relax. Then you come back more refreshed. For example, see football, for example. When they start playing from the first 45 minutes, when they start playing from the first minutes, at 45 minutes they go for a 15 minutes break and come back to continue. So that's it. So imposter syndrome, please don't let it be an issue. Then trying to know too many stacks at once. So by stack here we mean, okay, let's say for example you want to be a full stack developer and you want to be a full stack developer using the JavaScript language. Now, for a full stack developer, the number of technologies you will need to learn is MongoDB, Express.js, for example, Angular and Node.js, which means MEAN, main stack. So Mongo for M, which is main, from the main, Mongo for M, Express for E, Angular for E, and N for Node, or Node for N. So these are the number of technologies who will need to learn and master and practice. So, and after you've learned the main stack, right? The next week you find that you see a job opening on Python, for example. They're looking for Django developers and you see the pay, makes sense. You will now be like, why did I learn main stack? Please no, don't do it. If you have a particular stack, please stick to that stack. Always look out for job postings on that stack, right? Do not, because you've seen 5 different job available positions, and this one is saying C sharp, this one is saying Python, and you're a main stack developer, and you now decide that, okay, the next day or the next 2 days, let me start learning C sharp. No, please stick to one part, stick there, because you can basically build any application using any language. With JavaScript, you can build mobile applications, you can build web applications, you can write for the Internet of Things. You can do basically anything you want to do with any language. So please just remain where you are. Then feeling inadequate. This is usually normal with everybody. So you feel like there is nothing, there are things that don't know, there are things, or maybe you are going for an interview and you feel like, what if they ask me one of the things I don't know, and you start scanning the whole internet. The truth is you can't know everything. That's the truth. I'm not saying it just in software, generally, right? In life you cannot know everything. So but whatever you know it well, like understand it, know it to the extent that you can teach it, and the next person you taught, or the person you have taught, will be able to transfer that same knowledge. So feeling inadequate is one mistake to avoid, right? By the time you start feeling inadequate, maybe you've stayed 2 years coding, or you're just starting and you see somebody, a software developer, you start feeling like, when will I get to? Do not feel what's the word again, do not feel uh, please do not feel inadequate, because there is nobody actually that is adequate. we are all inadequate, right? So feeling inadequate would not would would rather make you feel demoralized, or feel, you know, feel like you're not doing enough, and it could lead to some sort of depression, and you might feel, you know, the motivation to carry on would stop, and things start falling apart. So please do not. Then focusing on your paycheck. Avoid focusing on your paycheck when you are starting. Let your focus be on learning to understand what the concepts are. Let your focus be more on learning, on mastering what you are learning. Because when you focus on paycheck, right? Let's say for example, you are starting out and you get an internship position where you are being paid 50,000 naira, for example, and you look at the job opportunity, the job opening, and you are like, 50,000, how will I take 50,000? No. The most important thing at that point in time is for you to learn and understand what you are going into, right? The truth here is, you might be collecting 50,000 naira. The truth is, you are learning. In fact, when I started out, my I used to I had a mindset that if whether I'm paid or not, I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to go to a company. If possible, go to a company, tell them, see, I'm a junior software developer. Please let me be with your software development team. Don't pay me. Just let me just. I want to develop my skill. I want to understand how this works and stuff. That passion, that drive would help you succeed. But by the time you start looking at your paycheck, you you will not get there fast. It's not a question of you might not get there. You will not go fast, because number one, you don't have the skills, the marketable skills, or the skills that they can pay you for, right? And maybe you now get an opportunity to be paid a token, right? And you are expecting more. So basically, as an intern, basically you are going there to learn. You should even pay for being taught, right? But in that case, maybe the company decides to pay you a token, especially to cover for transport and lunch that you would have spent for the, basically to cover for the money that you would have spent coming to the company, coming to work every day. So that's for focusing on your paycheck. Memorizing documentation. So technology is something that is very dynamic. Every day, university professors, university students, and researchers are coming up with researches, with results from their research in technology. And as they come, this this research are being implemented by big companies, by technology companies. Even for example, Microsoft have their research department. So technology it changes so often, so frequent. So it's of no use thinking that you need to understand, memorize, you know, Microsoft documentation, for example. Some people go as far as reading it up, right? But it's not there basically for you to read, like read from A to Z. It's there for reference. It's there for you to, in case you need something, you want to implement something, then you consult the documentation. It's like the Bible. So you consult it, look up what you need to look up, get the concept, and go apply it, or add it to whatever concept you have. To, that's what it's there for. So do not think that memorizing the documentation is one of the things that you should do. So the next thing here is some ideas to keep in mind. The software takes time, right? It's not a quick fix something. It's not a Ponzi scheme. It's not something you just start today and tomorrow you're writing Facebook. No. So you will have to give it time. You have to understand the basics. Some people, it takes them 3 months to understand the basics and start building. Some people, it takes them 6 months. There are people it takes a year. So it depends on how much time you are willing to give in a day. For people that have a lot more things to do in a day, maybe working class or people that are schooling, if you if they try to make out time to study software, to learn software, maybe they could be giving out 2 to 3 hours every day. Now if you spread 2 to 3 hours across, they might end up understanding software writing in a space of 8 months, 6 months, or thereabout. So it depends, it varies. Again, it also has to do with people have different ways they retain what they learned. So there are people who pick concepts very fast. There are people who are not so fast in grasping concepts. So it depends on your retention capability, retention speed as well. So the next thing here is follow a defined learning curve. I used to tell my mentees that please don't just go jumping from here to here. You learn C sharp today, tomorrow you learn Java, next tomorrow you learn Python. So what are you learning them for? These are languages, different languages in their respective order. What are you learning them for? You want to be a web application developer or you want to be a mobile application developer? If you want to be a web application developer, for example, and you decide to and you like JavaScript, stick to JavaScript. Just learn the basics of JavaScript, drill down into advanced JavaScript, then learn how to use these frameworks to build applications like Angular and React or even Bootstrap. So follow a defined learning curve. A learning curve, for example, maybe you want to be a web application developer. The typical learning curve is usually HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, jQuery for people who like jQuery. Then you can start talking about React or Angular. Excuse me. That's for front end. Then you can transition to the back end, learning Node.js, Mongo and MongoDB and Express.js for server side. So that's basically just a defined learning curve. By the time you are done learning using a defined curve, right, you will understand what you have done, what you have. You will understand clearly, what you have been involved in. So that this is where a good mentor is very important. A good mentor who wants to see you succeed would give you, it would tell you basically everything you need for your learning curve and for everything you need to succeed. So the next one here is build as many projects as possible. So learning by doing is one thing that we should, imbibe if you are a software developer or if you are an aspiring software developer. If I am to choose amongst a couple of software developers, right, that are just coming into the industry, and one person amongst them has built the highest projects, right? I don't mean picking source codes and putting it somewhere. I mean building it themselves and understanding how they built it. I would go for that person who has built um, 10 mini projects than other than going for any other person who has built lesser or not even built anything. So there are projects. Somebody can build three good projects, maybe something like an e-commerce store, or three very good projects that way helps them understand concepts much more than another person who builds 10 mini projects, for example. So it depends on the capabilities and the level or the in-depthness of the project. So build as many projects as possible to help you expose your understanding, to help you understand a lot more things that you might not have grasped along the way. Then have an online presence. Of course, if you're someone who sells puff puff or you sell chin chin or any of those things, if you don't bring your chin chin to the public, if you don't take it outside the house, like move it along the way or keep it somewhere where people would see it, nobody will know you have chin chin for sale, right? So if as you are building your software career, is as well very good to you know have a web application, web presence, have a LinkedIn, uh, create a LinkedIn account, put up Facebook, put you know put your profile, right, that you are a software developer in your profile, right? Make people, let people know that okay, this person writes software, because you never can tell where your next gig will be coming from, right? So always have that in mind. Then have a portfolio. So by the time you're done building these numerous projects, for example 10 projects, all these projects can now serve as a portfolio for you. So in your resume, you could just put the links to those projects. If they are web applications, for example, you could just put the links for them to them. That means you might be giving your employer 10 links, 10 clickable links that they can click on to see more about the projects that you've built. So always have a portfolio, because a portfolio helps you stand out, right? Somebody wants to give you money, like employ you, so they need to be sure that you are worth the offer. You can do the job. That's all that matters to them, because they have the job to for someone to do, but they cannot just put anybody there. They need to know that this person that we are considering, right? This person can do the job. So that confidence of the can do attitude usually comes when you have a good portfolio and you can defend everything in your portfolio. Reverse engineer job descriptions. This is a very important part. When you reverse engineer job descriptions, for example, what I mean by reverse engineer job description is, you see a job opening for junior software developer, for example, and you want to apply. You look at the description, you are seeing technologies that you don't even know, maybe you are not conversant with, right? Write them out, write them all out down. What I did in the past, I'll write them all out and I'll learn about them. I'll make my researches. What is, for example, what is X unit? What is swagger? What is this? What is this? What is processmaker.io? What is SharePoint? I'll just be making researches and try to see how I can incorporate them in my projects, right? So once I've done those researches, I can now put them in my CV, because whatever you put in your CV, be rest assured that you'll be asked questions around it. So you cannot put something you don't understand. So reverse engineer job descriptions, it goes a long way to help you. Research often. I should have put Google often, but Google is a Microsoft. Sorry, a Google search is a Google search engine. It's a way for Google to allow us search for materials relating to our keywords, to our keyword search. So but we have Bing, we have Yahoo, we have so many other search engines. So that's why I use research often. Anytime you have a problem, a challenge, please, you just Google it. That's what I'll say simply, because that challenge you might be having, someone else would have had it and they would have blogged about it, or they would have put it out there in case somebody else, or they would have documented it for their own sake, and you might just be having it on a platter of gold. So always research. Sometimes we rather research than ask the next person, because that person you're asking could have a lot of things in his mind, and you know asking will just simply want to distract them. So you could just Google. By the time you have done quite a number of researching online, and you find out that, oh, this answer is not coming forth. I'm finding it difficult to get the right answers, or get the exact thing I'm looking for. Then you can now explore your options around you. Maybe reach out to other developers around you, ask them, say, see, I'm trying to get this thing to do this thing. Could you help me, see if you can help me figure it out and stuff. And for the record, there is no there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking questions. In fact, asking the right question is what helps us become a better software developer. The next thing on our list here is always seek clarity and understanding of concepts. So this is where asking the right question leads us to. When you ask the right question, it's another way of seeking clarity, right? Somebody asks you implement an algorithm, for example, and you need to understand, okay, this algorithm I'm implementing, are there going to be edge cases? Of course there will be edge cases. but the person that's the interviewer did not talk about them. So you need to ask, okay, since this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm presuming there will be edge cases. So what kind of edge cases are we looking at? What kind of output are you expecting? So asking the right questions would help you understand where you are coming from and the destination you're heading to. So that is it for this other slide. I think we are almost close to the okay. So the brief discussion on your resume. So this will be coming up in on YouTube. I'm going to make a full YouTube video about resume, and I wouldn't want to put everything in this particular webinar to avoid a much more longer talk session. So the next thing on our list here is job search and how to land one. Create a portfolio of projects or resumes, or even a web resume. Right? We've spoken about portfolios in you know earlier parts of this video, and basically, if you want to search for a job, create a portfolio where you have built a couple of projects that you can showcase to your employer. Good projects, I mean. Then prepare for technical interviews. If your interviews, there's some software engineering interviews that are not technical, just a question and answer session, and the employers gets to choose, right? Gets to make their assumption of you depending on how well you are able to answer those questions. Then prepare for technical interviews if they are technical. Always ask your employer, okay, my interview session is going to be what kind of interview session are we looking at? Is it a coding interview section or is it a technical interview? By coding technical interview, we still mean coding interview, or is it a question and answer session, or is it whatever or is it or is it a what's this one they use? They talk about logic. IQ based interview session and stuff. Know your target role and pursue it. Yes, for example, you want to be a front end developer, only writing for the front end. Yes, always go for front end, right? When you see things that have to do with back end or any other stack or any other thing that's not front end, some people would say shoot your shot, but I would say just leave it, just let it be. Pursue other things because, for example, you want to be a front end developer, right? You might end up applying for another role that's not front end, getting that role, and end up doing something that you didn't intend to do in the first place. So know your target role and pursue it. Set up job alerts on job sites for your role. For LinkedIn, for example, you can set up job alerts. So once a job in a particular field is posted, let's say software developer job is posted by any company, you will get the alerts, you will get the email, right? So most of the times you'll be the first person to know, one of the first few people to know. So, and a good number of companies I know, once they get a number of applications, they shut down that application portal and they start interviewing the number of people that have applied. So this will give you an edge so that you would have applied before they stop accepting applications. Because once an application is being posted, right, a lot of people start applying. So always be willing and ready to be amongst the first few people to apply by setting up job alerts on job sites like Indeed, LinkedIn, and the likes of them. So apply to as many jobs as possible. I know a couple of people coming up into the industry. They apply to about 6, 7 jobs, and they will tell me they've not heard from them. Nothing, not even a rejection mail, not even. And I'll be like, really? If I tell you how many jobs I've applied for in my career over the years, you will be surprised. So the more you apply, the more you explore more chances of you getting at your goal. So don't apply to 10 jobs and expect somebody to call you. No. Apply to 100 jobs, then expect at least 4 or 5 interview sessions or calls. Then out of the 5, expect maybe if it, expect in fact apply to hundreds, right? But the thing here is it's not about applying to millions of jobs, right? If you apply to the first 10, my My strategy is this: if I apply to the first 5 to 10 jobs and I don't get any response, I'll go back and review my CV, review what I'm doing, review my cover letter to be sure that okay, if they can't even call me for an interview, then something is wrong with my CV, right? Or I'm applying for a job that I'm not qualified for. So go for a job that you're qualified for, apply for it, and make sure that you apply as much as possible. So once you have a great CV for your job role, for your level, right? If you apply for 10 jobs, I can guarantee you today, if I apply for 3 jobs, I can guarantee you that I will get 3 interviews, right? So have a good CV, and the sky is your starting point. The next thing on our list here is treat each job application uniquely, including cover letters. So do not use a generic resume for your jobs, right? For example, you want to be a full stack developer, but you are as well looking at if you get a front end developer role, you will take it, or if you get a back end developer role, you as well take it, right? Because full stack developer role is inclusive of both front end and back end development role, right? Then you now decide to just have a generic email so that you can send it for, so that when you see a front end developer job open, you can send that, and you see a back end developer role open, you can send it as well. Just one, just one resume. No, when you see a role, tailor your resume for that role, right? It takes time, it takes effort, but of course, nothing good comes easy. That's the truth, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's the reality we're facing. So when you see a job opening, even if you are a full stack developer, for example, some companies would, yes, they know that if they employ you for, if you have full stack capabilities and they're employing you for front end, they would know that you will be of more use maybe down the road. But there are as well companies that they just want front end, right? And you are a full stack developer, it's a turn off for them. They'll be like, no, we need people that are specialized in front end. If you don't full stack for 2 years, then that means it's safe to say that 1 year is front end, the second year is back end. But if you have done front end, for example, for 2 good years, then there is no, and you're a front end developer, then there is no comparison. You are a more dedicated front end developer. So some companies would find it as a red flag if possible. Yes, even if you know how to do the full stack and you are going for a front end role, right? Tailor your CV to that front end role, or at least make your CV a very good front end CV. Then, as other experiences, you can now add to the back end sections to it, so that they will know that okay, you are very good in front end, but you have good, experience doing back end as well. So it's more value for them, right? So that's it. Treat each job application uniquely, including cover letters, then demonstrate desire to achieve success. Demonstrate a desire to achieve success. Now you've got your foot into the door by landing that interview, right? Be awesome. Why should you be scared? Why should you be tensed? Because when you show that you are nervous, which is quite something that we can, it's a very great, it's a big topic on its own. I think I should do a video on nervousness in a software developer interview. When you show you're nervous, the employer understands that, or the interviewer understands that yes, it's an interview session. No matter how experienced you are, there is a level of nervousness that would come in. But the more nervous you look, or the more nervous you 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 are, the lesser your confidence. And sometimes they even ask you questions that you already know, but because you are nervous and your confidence level has dropped, you just forget it. It should just be as though you just answer it vaguely, like as though you know you wouldn't give a good explanation as you should. So demonstrate the desired achieve success. So I think this we come to the end of our talk today. So thank you very much for listening. You can kindly follow us on social media. Just type Chidi Technologies on LinkedIn. You'll find us there. or you can follow me. My name is Chidi Nwaneto on LinkedIn as well, and on Facebook, on Twitter, any platform. If you have any concerns, anything you want to talk about, any contributions, any questions as well, please use the comment section. And if this session was very insightful, if it was good, if it was engaging, don't hesitate to like this video, at least so that more people can discover this video. And as well, you can subscribe so that as soon as we upload new videos, as we usually do once in a while, you would be amongst the people to be notified to get the concepts right. So thank you very much. Thank you for sticking with us to the end of this video, and please do have a great day. Bye bye.